everything that I know says I gotta go, tired of going solo. But I'm never gonna go there again. This is what it is, this is who I am, this is where I finally take my stand. I didn't want to fall, but I don't have to crawl. I'm not the one with two star hands, giving him the best of everything that's left of the life inside this man. I've been born again.
Oh, yes, David.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
It has.
I hope I remember how to do this.
Yeah, and if I don't sound right, it's the microphone's rusty.
Blame the mic.
Yeah, that's right.
Blame the mic, yeah. You know, it's kind of funny. This is not like riding a bicycle. Mm-hmm. In some ways, of course, yes. But, you know, there's certain things you have to remember, do this, punch this button, say this, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, yeah, trying to get back into it. And of course, we've got to knock cobwebs out of our heads.
Yeah.
And Dave and I have both had different circumstances to keep us from here. This is the first time since December 3rd, I guess, was the last time we did this. But, I know our faithful fans have just been waiting with bated breath.
Yeah.
For us, our return, our great return.
As Rush Limbaugh used to say, not only will I tell you what's happening, I'll tell you what to think about it as a bonus.
Boy, lots happened with us. David came down with some, as the Germans would say, the Klippe, flu. Influenza type A, which I never knew existed. There was an A, B, C, D, of course. Now, you know, now you've got to, since we had Corona, and you had Alpha through Omega. We haven't gotten to Omega yet, or have we? Did we do Omega? No, we didn't get to Omega. Omicron. Well, no, that's not
that's
Omega.
Right. Omega's the end of the alphabet.
The end of the alphabet. Omicron. We still got a few to go.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's funny. And you know, if you think about it, because you got Zeta and Upsilon and Omega. But no, David had it, and then we were out of town for the holidays. And, you just returned from Minnesota?
Yeah, I drove all through the day yesterday. Got out of the snow. I get 1 week of winter every year, go see my folks, and that's all the winter I need. I'm good for another year.
Well, I'm surprised you got out of there with that blizzard last week.
Getting in was tough. They closed Interstate 35 from like Ames, north of Des Moines a little bit, all the way into Minnesota.
Wow.
And my daughter and her husband were a day ahead of us. They ended up having to get a hotel. I didn't. So
that happened to us last year. We went to California, Northern California.
I remember that.
And we got stuck in Laramie, Wyoming.
And that was in the fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. It was December.
Was it?
Yeah, it was December.
Okay.
It was for Christmas. We were with our kids, but we got stuck in Wyoming.
Yeah.
And,
and I came through after they opened up 35 and the semis. Over the ditches.
Well, see, that's what they did with us. They were lined up, and they have gates on the freeway.
Yeah.
They have
Northern Iowa does too.
Yeah, and they blocked everything, and the semis were blocked lined up for miles and miles. And so we ended up taking a southern route back. We had to go all the way back south through Colorado, and then across to Utah and back
the Eisenhower Pass, right?
I don't know the name.
I-70, yeah. You over the mountain.
Yeah, I guess we did.
You went through a little tunnel for a while?
Probably. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know.
There's not many roads on
I'm old now, Dave.
Yeah.
I don't know. my mind fails me. Anyway, I remember we ended up through Steamboat Springs, and I wasn't a tourist. Let me play.
Oh.
I couldn't get through there quick enough. And I said, oh, that's Steamboat Springs. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, most people pay money to go to Steamboat Springs, Colorado, and I just, you know.
Famous Billy Kidd.
Is that where he was?
Billy Kidd, the skier. Yeah, I met him.
Oh, okay. Billy the Kid, not the
outlaw,
yeah.
He ended up winning the Olympics in like 72.
I do remember him.
Yeah.
I remember him, but I was thinking of the other Billy the Kid from New Mexico.
Oh, yeah.
A little further south.
No, this guy was called Billy Kidd.
Yeah, I remember. And then, but anyway, that was last year. But I'm glad you made it. I had an interesting story. A few days before Christmas, my son calls me.
Yeah.
And actually, a few days before, the week before Christmas, he calls me and says, Dad, for those of you that don't know, my youngest son, he's the vice president of operations for Elon Musk. And he says, a hockey team, NHL, the Florida Panthers. In fact, there's my little Florida Panthers T-shirt. Probably can't see it if you'd have to blow it up. But it's all over the back. But anyway, I won't show that to you. But anyway, so they're having a father-son deal that some of the teams have. And so you can come up and meet us in New York. And they're playing the New Jersey Devils, and then the team is traveling to Boston to play the Boston Bruins. And the dads would be with the kids, their sons. And so I said, sure. And so I have an aunt in Philadelphia and my cousin, whom I haven't seen in probably, 20 years. And my aunt is up there, and she's in a nursing home, and I think it'll probably be the last time I get to see her.
Where was this your aunt is at?
In Philly.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say, because your teen years, weren't you in Philly?
Right. I lived with them, yeah. She helped raise me a couple of times when I was 7 and 8, and then again when I was 11 and 12. I lived there. Never got beaten as badly as I did by her.
Oh, yeah.
The belt. Yeah. Anyway,
This is your dad's sister?
No, my dad's brother's wife.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's passed away too. But anyway, I love her anyway. She was probably right. I was a bad boy.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I went to Philly, spent several days there with them, my cousin at their house, and he lives in the house and she's in the nursing home.
No, I hate to get off on a sector. Where did you go after Philly?
You mean after I left Philly?
Your years in Philly, yeah.
Oh, we moved to New Jersey.
Okay. So you were the Fresh Prince of New Jersey then, right? Philadelphia, born and raised on the playground.
New Jersey, Joyzy, yeah. Joyzy, the coast. In fact, my bedroom in New Jersey, in the house we had, it overlooked the Atlantic Ocean. Out of my bedroom, I could see the ocean.
Nice.
I learned to surf, and I have. You talk about layers. Yeah, I had some layers. I did some stuff when I was a kid that, I was about 14 at that time, and I learned how to surf, and I'm not going to go in there and take the whole show. But anyway, so I left Philly, caught a train to New York City, ended up in New York City, and then Ubered over to the hotel. And as I was telling Dave, that's not my life. Nah, I couldn't. Maybe when I was younger, but just, you eat and sleep and get on a plane and fly to the next town, and you live out of your suitcase. It was to me, it's rough. I mean, you're in 5-star hotels, very nice hotels, and you're eating filet and steak anytime on buffets and lobster and all. You've got people taking care of you. You're flying first class. They've got these charter planes. Delta Airlines has these charter planes, and everything's very nice. I mean, it's unbelievable. You drive right up to the bus drops you off right at the plane. You stick your stuff under the plane, and then and they throw it right on. You get on the plane and you sit down and you take off. I mean, it's not, you're no waiting room, waiting lounge,
No TSA?
No. I mean, they have TSA, and they'll pick a couple of people to check out. Yeah. But generally,
Yeah, not like commercial flights.
No, it's very different.
Yeah.
And, and then you're flying, and then next thing you know, we flew, they played, they played the New Jersey Devils, and then we had a day off and flew to Boston, and then ended up another day off, and then after Boston, right after the Boston Bruins, flew right back down to Fort Lauderdale. But anyway, after that, I didn't get there till like 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah, then your troubles began, right?
That's when
once you got off of charter flights. Then hello reality.
And then I ended up, then I'm back to being a mortal person. Yeah. Oh, this is what's weird. Okay, so I had to take an Uber from Fort Lauderdale to Miami. Okay. And so I take my Uber, about an hour, Uber ride. This was pretty nice. And so I get there about 3:30 in the morning and I check in and all. And, I see these people with like 2 carts each. And these carts are loaded like 6 feet high with these giant, it's like these wraps around all of their stuff.
Wow.
And I mean, you're allowed 2 bags to check.
I was going to say, that's kind of
you're allowed to check 2 bags.
Rules, yeah.
No, this isn't carry on. This is to check in.
Oh.
But even to check in, you're allowed usually 2 bags.
Yeah.
Right? And then, but I mean, we're talking lines of people with these giant bags.
Wow.
And they're all flying to Central America on these, and I'm trying to figure what in the heck is going on. But they have these special counters where these people will wrap your stuff for you.
Yeah.
And they wrap them in these giant net things or they're like plastic. But I mean, Dave, seriously, this wide all the way around and, this high. And they'll have like 2 or 3 of these on these carts and they're doing 2 of these things, one person at a time.
Who needs that much crap just for...
I don't know. I guess they came shopping in Miami and they're taking it home.
Ah, there you go.
But I don't know if they're flying to Cuba or Aruba or what, but I'm kept looking and there were just lines of these people all over the place with this stuff. And I'm thinking, what in the world, So anyway, this is something I'm going to have to investigate, one of our investigative juices.
Sure. No, when did you get back? What day? Is it Christmas or?
No. I got back, let's see, about 3 days before Christmas.
Okay.
So, but here's what's funny. So I'm doing great. I did fine. I left my vitamins at home. And sure enough, on my flight back, I did. So this was Monday night after the game. 2:30. I didn't get home till 4:30 in the evening with all my flighting and got a delay, and then didn't get to sleep probably until 10:30 at night. And behind me on my last flight from Houston to Tulsa, there's a guy sounded like he was coughing up a lung, and I knew whatever he had, I was gonna have to get it.
You were a human petri dish.
I was a receptacle.
Yeah.
And I was saying, Lord, oh boy. And I was
not just you, your mother and your wife.
I was in great health. And sure enough, next day I felt a little twinge. And then by Friday, boom, here it was. And then Saturday, boom,
Merry
my
Christmas.
mother. And then Saturday, that was Christmas Eve. And then Sunday, we were supposed to go to Arizona to see the rest of our kids on Christmas Day. My wife's sick. My mom's sick. Guess what? We didn't go to Arizona. Had to cancel the trip to see the kids, the grandkids. We were all going to meet in Scottsdale, Arizona. We were even going to get to see OSU play.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Didn't happen.
They were in Tempe, yeah.
I was the bad guy.
Yeah.
I blew it. Yeah. I brought the germ into the house. But anyway, of course, now, that day, I was fine.
Oh, okay.
I got through it. I mean, it didn't, the actual throes of the illness, whatever it was, only hit me for really hit me hard for 2 days.
Yeah.
And I was done.
Yeah.
The day after Christmas, I was good. The next, after I'm fine, and then, of course, my wife gets it, and then we're done. So it was a 2 day, I think it was the influenza A, and we were vitamined up pretty good. We have this Juice Plus is the name of the stuff that plus when I got back, before I left, when I got back, I go, as I always mention, I do, low T.
Yeah.
And they do a B12, a special B12 cocktail.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, they have a special cocktail, which I always get extra. And for you men out there, I'm sorry, ladies, but it's a men's thing, the Low T Center. But, I can't recommend it highly enough. It's really, helped me.
Yeah.
You do the test.
I do. I actually give myself the shots.
Right. You get them. I like to go.
I'm cheap.
Yeah. I like to have them given to me, and they do tests and things like that and so forth. So, but anyway, I go there once a week, the Low T Center in Bixby. It's down on South Memorial or just off South Memorial. And, but anyway, I get this special, beta, B12 shot that they give. And, it's a lipo. They call it lipo beta shot. But anyway, and it's really helped. So I got one of those when I got back too. And so I came right through it. So I was good. And my wife is through it now. And my mom, my 95, almost 96-year-old mom is now coming through it as well. So, so we're all good. But it just was pretty tough that we didn't get to see our other kids and grandkids. So.
Yeah. Speaking of that, one of the things I want to say to guys, hey, listen, we got our pride, right? Sometimes we don't want to admit that. I was losing a lot of money, Eddie. When your testosterone levels are down, your get up and go, your energy, your ability to work, and as a self-employed contractor, my income was really hurting. It had been that bad. And then I got to where my mental health started to take a hit because it'll mimic clinical depression, low-grade depression, not, real bad, but because I give myself the shot, my doctor, works with me on that. My shots, including the disposable syringes, about $3 to $4. What I make in productivity just blows that out of the water. So if you think you can't afford it, folks, many of you can't afford not to do it. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's good. No, and what I like is, they also do at the Low T Center, they give you the physicals and they check out. I mean, they've noticed so many things with me that my doctor didn't notice, which is weird. I said, what? I have that. And then they send the stuff to my doctor and everything, different tests and all that they do. Every 6 months they give you a full battery of tests and things. I mean, it's really, and what's really funny is when I walk in and I'll see somebody that I know and they say, yeah, I came here.
Get the juice.
They heard me talk about it and so they're there now, or different things. So it's always kind of cool to see that. But,
and those doctors, I mean, they're not pediatricians. They specialize in helping men. Right. And for a lot of men's issues, you want that specialty.
Right, exactly. And, and listen, I always crack up and I don't really like the ones that it's always focused on erectile dysfunction.
And she'll like it too.
Yeah. And she'll like it. Yeah. No, we're not talking about that. Dave and I are talking about just plain old function. Like with me, my big thing was about 3 PM. I'm sitting in my office, which is right next door here. And I'm here like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying to focus and concentrate. And it just keeps us up, keeps you alert, keeps you awake.
And I'm not saying it doesn't help that. But I just the selling pitch is kind of nauseates.
Oh,
me.
Dave.
I think we're nothing but.
Are you wanting to give us some? No, we're not going to go there. We're not going to go chase rabbits. Okay. We're going to
Don't
go
take
ahead.
My word for it.
Yeah.
Go ask my wife. No.
He's doing one of these commercials now.
No, it helps so many areas.
And they do ask you about that if you got an issue, if you got a problem or whatever, and so but I want to say, I don't want to focus on that because it's so much more. There's so much more.
It is.
Do you want to live longer? Basically, I mean, do you want to live longer? Do you want to have your mental functions improve and longer? Do you want your muscle mass to remain, or do you want to be drooping? And, it deals with weight loss, muscle mass, your mental capacity,
True.
all of those things, which to me are so much more important. You can go online and order some pills. Okay. You can go online and order. There's all kinds of ads with all kinds of pills that you can order that can help you with sexual dysfunction. Okay.
Yeah. This ain't
that. No, this ain't that. But as far as, just plain old regular function into your 70s, 80s, whatever, this is what you want. Okay. You do want to take care of that. But anyway, enough of that.
Yeah.
Enough of that. I am over it. Dave's over it. We are back. And today is December 31st, the last day of 2022. And Dave, I want to go over some of the highlights of this year.
Yeah.
In fact, even I'd say this last week has been pretty amazing. A few people have passed away. A few notable people have passed away. One that's pretty special to me, notable to me, is Pele.
Yes.
I did want to mention him. And the reason, not beyond being a soccer player, the fact that Pele was known worldwide. You could not go to a place on the earth where you mentioned one word, Pele, and they knew who he was. I got to see the game in 1968, the World Cup, where he scored the header to win for Brazil over Italy. I happened to be at home in Germany. I was actually in Germany in the summer of 68 and happened to see where he scored the header.
Wasn't that the first year a South American team won it?
No, he won it. That was his third time winning the World Cup.
But
Brazil.
But wasn't he the one that?
I see what you're saying.
Team.
Yeah. He won it in so 68, 64, and 50. What would it have been? 50? No, 60, 64, and 68. He won it those three times. He was only 17 the first time, and he would have been 21, and then I guess he was 25 in 68 when he won it again.
Yeah, it's amazing because now Argentina is a world powerhouse as well as Brazil's always solid.
Right.
And so it's good to see, in fact, I remember in those days, it wasn't just the Brazilians who were proud of him. Every Latino, every Latin American country.
Yeah, he was, and he became a world ambassador, and he really was something else. Anyway, so he is one that passed away. Yeah. And, they always have these videos at the end of the year of all the people who passed away in the past year. And I was actually shocked at all of the people. There were several I didn't even realize that had passed away.
We lost 2 today. Notable.
2 today.
2. Barbara Walters passed away.
That's right. I just saw Barbara Walters. Who's the other one?
Pope Benedict passed
away.
Benedict.
That's right. Ratzinger.
Yeah. Yep.
Pope Ratzinger, the German, my German colleague.
Yeah.
Pope Ratzinger. He is the most undervalued pope to me, at least in modern history. He was a theologian. He was a strict Christian Orthodox believer.
Yes.
He, in fact, he wrote, his books all were warning against corruption of the Word of God.
Yeah.
He has many. They're very serious, heavy books, theological books, but one of his things was the compromising of the gospel. And I believe the reason he resigned his popeship, which is kind of odd that he would actually resign, but I think the reason he resigned is because it would have put him at odds with too many of the liberal bishops and cardinals around the world today.
Yeah. He gave the Roman Catholic Church a luxury they haven't had in hundreds of years, and that is a Pope Emeritus who could be a mentor and counsel to the papal head. Pope Francis stayed very close to him, according to the reports I'm hearing today. And that is nice. I think that's important. I think Benedict avoided some of the traps that Francis has gotten into. And, where the media tends to run a narrative. You got to be careful how you communicate.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think Francis stepped in, created some of those traps himself.
He did.
And he still does because he comes out of that South American social justice background. The whole social gospel.
Liberation theology
comes out of South America.
Yeah. The Nicaraguans, the Sandinistas. Yeah.
El Salvador, Nicaragua. What's the other country? There's one more, Guatemala.
Guatemala, yeah.
Those that Central America more than anything else probably, and it seems that Francis has kind of grew up in that thing somewhat, and I think, is he a Jesuit?
I believe that's true.
See, that's the thing. Here's what's so strange about that is the fact that the Jesuits at one time were the most strict Orthodox. They're the guys that were the heresy hunters.
Yeah.
The heretic hunters. They would go find and burn people for any kind of heresy within the Catholic Church.
Zealots.
They were the zealots. They would go out and find you if you wavered one iota.
Yeah, the French Inquisition was
all of that. All of that. The Spanish Inquisition. Yeah. You name a country, and they were the inquisitors. They were out there nailing people across, burning them, and it was horrible. They were horrible. Really.
Agree with us or die.
Yeah, and now the Jesuits are the ones who have just pretty much gone off the res, and I don't know why. It's overcorrection or what it is. Which reminds me, by the way. There's a new Yellowstone prequel out.
I've got to watch that. I have not watched a single episode.
Did you watch 1883?
No.
Okay. Go to 1883 and then do 1923. 1923 is the new one. Okay. And it's got, Harrison Ford is in it. Oh. But there's a part in there which is not very kind to the Catholic Church. And it's an Indian mission school. Oh, okay. It's a girls' school that the Catholics ran with these Indian girls. Oh. And they basically, it reminds me of what they did in Australia with the Aboriginals, kind of. Only it was worse.
And I'm hearing in Canada some of that happened with the Aboriginals.
The Aboriginals, yeah. But, I mean, it's horrible. I mean, it just, you know, but yeah, it's this one, it focuses mainly on this one girl and these nuns. It's these nuns. And then, of course, the priest who runs the whole deal. It was not, let me put it this way, it's not pretty. Those of you that are watchers of 1923, you'll know what I'm speaking of. Those of you that haven't, get to it. But you'll want to watch 1883 first. It's the Dutton family. It's a continuation. Dutton is the guy in Yellowstone. It's Kevin Costner. He's the descendant of all of these Duttons that have passed down. Yeah.
You know, I was in Yellowstone about 12, 15 years ago, and it was a family reunion. My folks grew Catholic, you know, we all went to Mass Sunday morning. It was one of these parishes that's really not really a parish because it's a vacation destination. And the Catholic priest who shows up there, he said, I come here for the summer. This is not a normal church. There's a nun in charge of the parish year round. And then during the tourist season, he comes and he says, and I'm retired, with an emphasis on tired. You know, I appreciate that. My parents, you know, my great-grandparents settled coming from Belgium not in Wyoming, but in South Dakota. And they spent 1 year there and left. And they had 4 teenage boys. Not a single Catholic in the county, and all these good-looking Swedish girls. And my great-grandmother didn't want her boys dating Lutheran girls.
So they took them out of there.
They found a Catholic settlement in central Minnesota. The Crozier brothers started. And
that's right.
That's where our homestead is. Yeah.
In Germany, you know, there's a place near where I'm from, in Bavaria there. But it's in Regensburg, outside of Regensburg, and it's a cloister or like not a convent, but it's like a monastery.
Yeah,
and it's on the Danube River and on the bend of the river, and you can only get there by these river boats. They have they don't allow motorboats or anything, and it's like a steamboat that takes you. You got to get it in Regensburg. You catch this
Yeah.
place. It goes to Kelheim is the name of the town. It takes you out. And at the bend of the Danube River, all of a sudden there's this monastery out there. But it's it's just a tourist spot, and it's a brewery now.
Oh, yeah.
It's where the monks brew.
Got to pay the bills.
The monks brew beer. And so it's beer and pretzels.
Oh, yeah.
Giant pretzels.
How Bavarian is that?
So we took all these, we were on our way with Youth with a Mission, and we took some of our YWAM people, and we went on the river, ride, and then we went down there, and we get there, and so we're sitting there, our kids are all swimming out there in their underwear in the river. They're like 3, and 4-year-old kids swimming out there in the river, and so the wives are sitting there, and then the guys were all in the beer garden. Mm-hmm. And so we're sitting there, and the beer in these giant mugs. They're like 2 liter.
The Steins,
Yeah. Mugs, and then these giant pretzels. And so we're sitting there. So it's funny because it's like dark beer, and it's, it's not Coors Light. Let's just put it that way. Yeah. So it's funny. I'm sitting there and there's this moment. I call it the velvet mallet moment. And it's this moment when the dimension shifts.
Oh.
And so I'm watching my friends who have not drunk this German beer before when the velvet mallet hits them. And so I even took pictures, but you could just see their eyes all of a sudden go different, and they're like this. I can't even do it, but it was just, I will never forget. It's just so funny to see, and how these guys it would just warp. So it's a good thing we all took a boat down.
Don't try.
And it's a good thing that the boat takes a while to get back to the cars. It's about an hour boat ride back to the cars, and a lot of pretzel to get everybody back down to where. I mean, people aren't, roaring drunk or anything, but you could tell their dimensions has shifted, and everything's different. But anyway, so the monks over there, they spent their time brewing beer. So, but I'll never forget that. So, but anyway, hey, so 2022 was an interesting year.
Yeah.
What are your memories, Dave? What stood out to you, and what do you want to try to remember and bring to people?
Well, the scripture tells us to pray for our leaders, all in authority. I've been praying for Joe Manchin a lot, because you know what? A lot's been hanging on Joe Manchin's resolve. Now, he's not with us on everything, but it could have been worse politically. I mean, we saw what Obama was able to do in his first 2 years. Yeah. With the Obamacare and stuff. We're in a battle. We're in a culture war, and it's just day to day, and it's just every day. It's just another battle. It doesn't end.
Yeah, Kristen Sinema is another one. I mean, she's there with him. Between the two of them, they actually, I think, saved our country. Those two actually saved our country.
I agree, and I appreciate you bringing her name up, because especially here after the election, she says, you know what? I'm not a Democrat. I appreciate she's showing some, individuality on this.
Yeah, and a point that I want to bring up again later is I'm very disappointed in Republicans and Christians. Yeah. And ask me why later after we get through this thought here. But yeah, you're right. The sweep, the avalanche, or what would they call it? The red wave never materialized. Right. And the reason the red wave never materialized is because we had Republican leadership that never wanted it to materialize, basically.
Yeah.
You had Mitch McConnell.
That's the big one. Yeah.
You have other people within the Republican leadership that really do not want the Republican Party to be the party of power, because at that point they actually have to lead. Right. They don't want to lead. They want to sit in their pocket. I mean, honestly, if you think about it, what has Mitch McConnell done in the last 20 years? Mm-hmm. I mean, really?
Oh, yeah.
Nothing.
Nope.
Nothing. Yeah. He's got to go.
Yeah, and if I could just break it down, I'll be real simple about it.
Please.
If you got 45 senators and in your caucus, you know, you'd like to get that up to 55, right? But the problem is, if you're Mitch McConnell, you got to put some money behind some candidates that, if they did win, they would probably caucus with your Republican rival. So Mitch McConnell, it's been said, has had to decide, do I want to be the leader of the minority, or do I want to be kicked to the back of the room with the new majority under some other, Republican? And evidently Rick Scott from Florida was that one who rose up. Now, you sat here with Mark Wayne Mullen, and then he followed up with you, and he said himself, he said, unless I have an alternative, who am I going to vote for? But he said, Mitch is out of touch, and he needs to go.
Yeah.
So I appreciate Mullen for saying that.
Yeah, no, it's true. and that's the dilemma that our people face. It's the same in the House.
Yeah.
They want to get rid of, what's his name? Who's the guy with the majority leader?
McCarthy.
Kevin McCarthy. They don't like Kevin McCarthy, but who's the alternative?
Yeah.
The people who would probably win, to me, Steve Scalise to me would probably be the most palatable person.
I think so.
That I think. But he doesn't want it.
Yeah, when you're in his position.
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
What are you going to do? He may I think Steve is probably still suffering from his injury from being shot. Mm-hmm. I really do believe that. And he probably doesn't have the energy and everything that it takes to truly exercise that position. So that's probably why he's not going. But he's the guy to me that would satisfy everybody. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But if he doesn't want it and he's standing with Kevin McCarthy, what are you going to do? Yeah. There's nobody else. Oh, and here's what's really weird. Marjorie Taylor Greene is supporting Kevin McCarthy. So you got the most flamboyant, out there, right-wing, conservative person with Kevin McCarthy. And then you got, what's his name from Arizona?
Biggs.
Andy Biggs, who is saying, I'm no way on earth am I voting for Kevin McCarthy. Well, Andy, I'm sorry, buddy, but you're acting on your own. You and maybe 3 or 4 people. Yeah. Give it up. Just do what you got to do. Get with Kevin, work out a deal, do something, get what you can. But it's time to put this behind us and move on and get some stuff done. That's what I say, because you're not going to change anything.
Yeah. Yeah. And the last thing on that, I have to say, greatly disappointed. I remember when Inhofe first went to Congress. I remember when it was no less than Ross Perot said the most effective person in Congress in 92 was Jim Inhofe, because he got the discharge petition passed over Jim Wright's, opposition. We had this big omnibus, put next year's people in debt, and Inhofe voted for it. And I just thought, what a legacy, your last vote in the Senate.
I was very disappointed in James Inhofe on that.
I knew his sister, Joanne Johnson, incredible. She was head of Eagle Forum in Oklahoma, very staunch conservative. She and I worked Pat Buchanan's campaigns and stuff. Jim would come home every weekend, and he said back in the 90s, if you don't come home every weekend, you lose touch. And since his sister died, and over the last 10 years, he hasn't been coming home. Or if he does, he just flies into his Grand Lake home. And he's lost touch.
Yeah.
That's just it.
Yeah, I think he figured, I'm going to retire. I'm going to get whatever I can for the state of Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. And That's it. And see, this is what happens. I think in the end, he weighed two things, and he realized, and to the senator's credit, okay, I'm going to take his side for a second, okay. He said, okay, you nincompoops, speaking to the Republicans, okay, you nincompoops with Mitch McConnell at the leadership and Mitt Romney and whoever else is up there, okay, with this group of people leading, we're not gonna get anything done. Okay. So what I'm doing, I'm gonna get what I can get for my state, and I'm gonna leave it. And he did that. Shelby did that for Alabama. Yeah. And a few other that are leaving, the ones that are leaving. I'm going to get what I can for my state, and then adios.
Yeah, see, I disagree with that because
I don't agree that it's a good thing to do. It's a nice thing to do.
Right.
I'm just saying this is what I think was running through his mind.
Right, but there's a third factor in that. This is next year's battle.
Right.
That they wanted to fight this year while the Republicans controlled the House.
Okay.
And what I'm saying is we probably could have got a much better deal next year than this year.
Yeah, but see, he won't be there next year.
I know.
So he's saying, I want the best deal I can get now.
That tells me he doesn't trust his successor, Mark Wayne Mullen.
No, I don't think it's that he doesn't trust Mark Wayne, because Mark Wayne is the 70-30 guy, remember?
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, so Jim is saying, I don't trust the rest of these people. See, Jim has been in the Senate. Jim knows how Inhofe works. Yeah, he knows how all these guys
I'll give him this. He's very powerful. He's the ranking member of Armed Services. And if that allows him to get something, I mean, listen, it's the only way we've kept Tinker Air Force Base open is because of Inhofe. I'm going to give him credit for that.
Highway funds.
Yeah. See,
I heard him speak years ago. He really changed my mind on earmarks. Totally. I didn't realize how it worked and any of that. You know, I'm like everybody else.
You have to do earmarks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was told, all the people would know, get rid of earmarks, get rid of this.
You have to.
And I didn't understand. And then he clarified and he explained everything. So, I'm thinking there's something behind what Jim Inhofe did. So while I don't like what he did, I'm just trying to say that I think there's a reason he did what he did. I don't think he's just willy-nilly, so I'm just going to screw the state of Oklahoma.
I'm sure that's true. But you notice, of the 7 members of our delegation, he's the only one who voted yes.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, he's the only one that's not running for re-election.
Do you remember, and I think this was your days.
He doesn't have to answer to anybody.
Yeah, this was, I think was still in your days at KFAQ. When Jim Bridenstine was the only one who voted no, and Inhofe came in, they decided he was going to be the point person. He said, I'm sure, Bridenstine's enjoying his day. And Pat took Bridenstine's side, and that's when Pat and Inhofe parted ways.
Yeah,
and
I do remember that, yeah.
Yeah, and see, at that point, Bridenstine was the only no vote for fiscal, responsibility. Yeah. And they all went there. Now, Inhofe's the only one voting yes. So I think we're moving the right direction as a delegation.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah, and by the way, I want to say congratulations to Kevin Hearn being appointed head of the Republican study group. Last year, they put him in an important position of putting together a budget proposal that gets us back to a balanced budget by the end of the decade. In fact, his predecessor said, last year I was head of it, and Hearn's is way better than my product was. So, in fact, Donald Trump met with Hearn as soon as he came up with that. I think I have big hopes for Kevin Hearn.
No, I do too. It's funny too, because Hearn, like Donald Trump, is not somebody that I supported initially.
Yeah.
I mean, I know everybody thinks I'm a Trump-loving this and that now. And I am now, to the end, okay? My flag is in that poll. or in that piece of ground. But Kevin Hearn's one that I didn't. He won me over, okay? And so I am totally with Kevin Hearn.
I agree.
And so, no, I think he's the future. I think he should probably end up, well, he's going to be done, or he's got one more term, I guess, right? This is his last term.
I've asked around on that, and he did agree with a legislative proposal that would put term limits on everybody. But nobody has told me that he is going to unilaterally limit himself.
Well, good. I hope.
And I agree on this.
No, I think he should wait until he's able to move into the Senate or some other position. But hey, I've got a good one. I've got a great one. Mm-hmm. Does the name George Santos mean anything to you?
It should.
Okay. This is beautiful. This is so good.
Yeah, where have I heard that name? I don't know.
George Santos is a newly elected congressman in New York.
Oh, yeah, Superman. Oh, yeah. Isn't he a Rhodes Scholar? I've heard all kinds of things about him. Rhodes Scholar.
Oh, yeah, he has a Nobel Peace Prize and an Academy Award and I think a Heisman Trophy, too.
The Biden wannabe. Yeah. He makes up all kinds of stuff about himself.
This is okay, here's the thing, okay. George Santos, for those of you that haven't heard, is a newly elected congressman from New York. Mm-hmm. And it has come to light that George has not only embellished his past, his record, with one lie, but multitudes. In fact, apparently everything is made up. And he won, okay? Mm-hmm. And so apparently what he has done, he's taken every lie from Joe Biden, from Kamala Harris, from Pocahontas, from AOC, Richard Blumenthal, you name it. He has taken there's a list that probably would stretch the length of my arm and reach onto Dave's arm as well. Mm-hmm. of lies and things that he has made up. And he won the seat in New York. Nobody bothered to check out his resume, okay? Mm-hmm. In other words, where he graduated, how he graduated, his ethnicity. He claimed to be Jewish and he's not Jewish. He claimed to be part black. He's not black. Mm-hmm. He's, as a friend of mine used to say, a suntan Jew from Kalamazoo. Yeah. But nothing checks out that this guy claimed. And he's saying, well, he didn't do it. His people did, or, all kinds of things like this. But, okay, here's my take on this, okay? It's not the Democrats that are asking for him to step down or trying to get rid. It's the Republicans. Yeah. And I'm saying, why? No. Has Pocahontas stepped down? Has Richard Blumenthal stepped down? AOC stepped down? Have any
Schiff? Yeah, Adam Schiff.
Joe Biden. Remember the big, we could play it. In fact, I may have played it here. All the lies. There's a YouTube video. Go check it out, where Joe Biden tells all these lies about how he was graduated at the top of his law school class. He was this, he was this, he was this. Oh, yeah. And then Sam Donaldson comes out on the thing. He says he was not this, he was not that. He graduated at the bottom of his class. Yeah. He was this, he was that. He didn't go here, he didn't do this. I mean, there were like 4 or 5 lies that they all shot down. And this guy is the president of the United States. Okay. Yeah. And so, if Biden could do it and Democrats didn't ask him to leave, then why should Republicans ask this guy to leave?
Yeah. Yeah, and here's the background on that. All of Long Island, including Brooklyn, going up into Queens, which always was Democrat.
Right.
Has 4 congressional districts. That's how popular it is. They all went Republican this year. That's how much the Democrats are hated in New York.
Right.
You know, and so, in fact, Santos districts includes Queens, which is about as Democrat can get up there. Right. And so, I'm just saying, they're changing the subject because the Democrats are so hated.
Well, but don't do the Democrats any favors is all I'm saying. Mm-hmm. If the Democrats don't want him, let them try to get him out like we were trying to get Blumenthal out. But I look at, Tulsi Gabbard sat in for, Tucker the other night.
Oh, yeah.
And he volunteered to come on there and she just tried to rip him a new one. I watched, what's the real pretty girl that's been on all these network? I can't remember her name right now. Anyway, she's on Newsmax or was on Newsmax and then, I can't remember her name. Anyway, she's on there talking about how we can't have this and everybody's on this guy. Forget it. Leave it alone. Just pretend it didn't happen.
Right. Well, or at least ask for parity, that you're going to have one standard and it's going to apply to everybody.
Exactly.
Because I tell you what, those folks are afraid of where this could go. It's going to take, if the House wants to unseat him, it takes 2/3 vote.
Right.
And it doesn't go to the Senate, doesn't go to the President. It's total housekeeping.
Right.
It's within the House.
Yeah, and the Republicans shouldn't do it.
No, I wouldn't. Well, not unless you're willing in the same bill to bring up all these people to a vote.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. And I don't hear Democrats in Congress. I don't hear any of them. They're all quiet. But it's all these Republicans, these noble Republicans. We always shoot at ourselves.
Yeah.
We always shoot at ourselves, and we don't sit there, and I think, in fact, there was one article I was reading and one report I was hearing where somebody's wondering who's behind this guy. Mm-hmm. Where did he get his money? Yeah. They can't figure out who put him up to this, where all this money, his backing came from. He's like the Manchurian Candidate. Because everything in his background is I mean, look at Barack Obama.
Yeah.
Right? Colombia. Nobody that went to Colombia ever saw the guy. Nobody knows it. Right?
Yep.
He was born in Hawaii. It doesn't check out. His birth certificate still does not check out, people. There's questions. Yeah. I personally am going to go on record and say I still don't believe it. Okay. I don't believe he was born when and where he says he was born. Okay. I'm sorry. I don't gig me for it. I don't care. And so, so if Santos says, he created, the flu vaccine. Okay. Yeah. He says he created the flu vaccine. Yeah. I don't care. Let him get into Congress and let's see what he does there. He can't do any worse than AOC or anybody other member of the squad is doing.
Yeah.
Let him fill the or Fetterman in the Senate. Are you kidding me? I mean, come on. Let's not start getting high and mighty here, Republicans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got
please
one more thing on national news. Ronna McDaniel no longer has the votes.
Ooh.
To become RNC chair. Harmeet Dillon. Yeah, she's an attorney.
Right, California.
Yeah, and she's a member of the RNC. RNC is made up of 3 members from each state party. Okay, so Oklahoma has 3. And now Mike Lindell I think he was the first to put his name up there. And I appreciate that, by busting it open, but he's not going to be a factor. Lee Zeldin was drafted, but he said no. Right. But Harmeet Dillon, I think
she wants it.
Yeah.
She wants
it. Yeah. Oh, and she's loaded for bear. She's actually really close to the author of that Red State article where they blew open all of the waste. I mean, all the yoga pants, the flowers, all this, wasted. And in fact, the Red State article came out like 3 weeks ago. It compared the percents of, money raised and spent by the DNC, the Democrats, and the RNC. And you have to say, no wonder we blew it, because we're spending too much money on flowers and fluff and, little trinkets and, all this stuff. It was a waste. Yeah. The Democrats did a much better job of spending their money wisely, frugally. Right. Now, a lot of the Democrats' money came from things like, crypto banks, Sam Bankman-Fried.
That's over. That's over.
Yeah.
That's over.
Yeah, and so anyway, this is going to be an interesting thing. I think the big thing you're going to see this year is House investigations, one after another after another.
Oh, 2024 is going to be a whole different election.
Yeah.
No, 24.
The next election.
Next election is going to be a whole.
Yeah, so
it's going to be a different. There's some quaking going on in Democrat corners right now.
Yeah. I know I do want to talk college football, the name, image, likeness, and then we also want to talk a little bit about Oklahoma, what's coming up for Governor Stitt in his next term. I think his people have reached out to you. You're going to be over at the Capitol.
Yeah. I don't want to get into that, but there's one thing I did want to play. This is an interesting one. This is from El Paso, my American hometown.
Yeah.
And I played it for you already, and this is hilarious. There's an announcer from North Carolina. He covers North Carolina State. And he was covering the Sun Bowl, I guess for the ACC and so anyway, he was in El Paso, and he was covering this game, and he decided to talk about it, and this is what he had to say.
The Sun Bowl. And amongst all the illegal aliens down in El Paso, it's UCLA 14 and Pittsburgh 6. That's with 11:15
amongst all the illegal aliens.
He said he was there in El Paso amongst all the illegal aliens.
Which is a border town.
A lot of depth in the second.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But no, and that's where all of the illegal alien problems is. In fact, the Democrat mayor of El Paso has been shipping them also to Chicago and New York and everything. But what's bad, it's the worst situation of all the cities because they're overwhelmed. They're sleeping in the airport. They're sleeping in the bus terminals. They're sleeping in the streets. I mean, they're everywhere. There's hundreds of thousands now. They don't have room. I mean, the city is inundated with illegal aliens, and he's been fired, of course. CBS has fired this guy in his reporting because he used the term illegal alien.
Yeah, and North Carolina State said they suspended.
They suspended him.
Yeah, but I have to say, some of the Sun Bowl festivities were canceled because the facilities were being used to house illegals.
Right.
So you can't even do your festival, your bowl.
No, they couldn't do it. Yeah. No. And see, anybody that's ever been there, like I'm from El Paso, so I know, when you sit in the stands, and you look outside the stand, 1,000 feet from the stadium, 1,000 feet is the borders. It's waters. Yeah, the Rio Grande and the border. So they're all there.
Yeah.
They're all there. I mean, that's where the illegals are coming across. Yeah. They just walk across the Rio Grande River, which is 2 feet deep, and they come across and come through.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're all over there. And there's so many that the city can't handle them. The mayor has been trying to do what she can. And of course, Joe Biden's not doing anything. She won't say anything because she's, tried to be loyal and trying to get help, and it's a sad situation. I think she will be gone next time probably because she refuses to do anything about it. Yeah. So it's a tough situation. Getting to the bowl situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How's you boys doing from Texas Tech?
We won.
Wow.
Yeah.
No Oklahoma team can say that.
I know. In fact, no Big 12 team can say that so far. We're the only ones that have won a game. Yeah.
Now, is it today that Michigan and TCU play?
Yes.
Yeah.
So and Kansas State and Alabama. Those are the last two chances we have to redeem ourselves. So I'm pulling for. as much as I hate it, I'm pulling for Kansas State.
Yeah. Hey,
For some reason, I can't get around Kansas State. I'm sorry for you KSU fans. I normally bet, but I am rooting for you today.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for you today.
now, first of all, OU, yeah, they lost, but that was an impressive showing.
Yeah, it was a tough game.
I mean,
Really
they're 6-6. They're playing the number 13 team, Florida State, who's 9-3, right? The thing we got going for ourselves is Brett Venables knows Florida State's program inside and out because he was an ACE rival with Florida State. And he put together, I think, a good team, good showing on the field. He didn't have the problems now that OSU, Mike Stoops had, where half the team bails on you because they're in the transfer portal or want to save your precious bodies for the draft, or something like that.
I hate that. Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah, that's one thing I have to say because the announcers mentioned it, that every last Florida State player said that they want to play in this game.
Yeah.
Florida State, the players said they're playing in this game.
Yeah.
Now that's honorable. And look, when the school gave you a free education,
Yeah.
paid for your education, and the opportunity to be drafted,
Yeah.
to be seen by pro scouts and every old transfer. See, it speaks to a bigger problem in America.
Look at
loyalty. There's no loyalty,
Yeah.
no commitment, nothing.
Let's look at Sanders. Started as quarterback for OSU for 4 years, and then bails on him.
Right.
His last game, bails on him.
Well,
actually, he's eligible for another.
yeah. See, Sanders is a different situation.
Tell me about it.
Well, the fact that he would not have played again for OU.
What do you mean?
Caleb Williams came in and took his spot. He lost his spot, so he was done. I mean, basically. Oh, you're talking about Sanders at OSU.
At OSU.
I'm sorry, I'm thinking Spencer Rattler. I'm thinking Spencer Rattler. With him, it was the right move. Right. No, you're right. OSU, Spencer Sanders. Yeah, I don't know what in the heck happened to him. I don't know what's going on there. Yeah, he should not. That's true. Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
It's really
disappointing. That's very disappointing.
Because that's the heart and soul of your offense is your quarterback.
Yeah, I don't know what in the heck is going on in that head. He I think is a little too big for his britches. I agree.
Yeah.
No, if you're a quarterback that's been relegated basically to second or third team and you have a opportunity. Well, here's another one. Does the name Mordecai mean anything to you?
Should.
He was the highly recruited quarterback at OU until Spencer Rattler came in.
Right. And
then, of course, Caleb Williams came in. Mordecai ended up at SMU, where he did great. I mean, he had an incredible – he was like the number one quarterback in the nation at one point this year. Now he's skipping out from that school to go to Wisconsin next year because SMU isn't good enough. So this is his third school.
Yeah. Now, it has worked the other way for OU. Jalen Hurts, does that ring a bell?
Yeah.
Because he got benched at Alabama. He's got one more year.
Kyler Murray.
Right.
From Alabama.
Up. Really?
Yeah.
Now, Kyler actually was a starting baseball player for OU.
Yeah, but he was at A&M first.
At A&M, okay, yeah.
Right.
But, so, sometimes we win and we lose, but overall I think the sport's losing because it's getting too fluid.
Yeah, I don't weep for teams that lose players because they pick them up as well. You take, what's his name?
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
Okay. He had signed, almost signed. He was about to sign with Oregon State. Okay. Cliff Kingsbury convinces him to come to Texas Tech. He's a freshman. He wins freshman of the year at Texas Tech. And because he didn't get his scholarship offer quickly enough, and his dad had been at OU, his dad graduated at OU, he switches to OU.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's a walk-on at OU.
Yeah, he was a walk-on. So he decides to go to OU, and which at the time I thought was a great thing. I was actually all for it, but what bothered me about it, he starts trashing Texas Tech ever since then. I mean, be gracious. You know, I mean, if Kingsbury had not taken him at Texas Tech, he would have never been Big 12 Freshman of the Year.
Okay.
He would never have been seen by OU. He would, you know what I'm saying? That, all of that, and we don't know what would have happened up at Oregon State.
Do you remember the politics it took to get a release from Texas Tech in order for him to play the next year at OU? Because it used to be you sat out a full year, right?
Well, no, that wasn't the big thing. Well, he did have to sit out a year. He did sit out the year. The big politics thing was you couldn't transfer within the conference. That was the big issue. It wasn't the sitting out the year. It was he did sit out the whole year, but what was the problem? That's why he was there before what's his name, Pat Mahomes. He was actually there before Mahomes, but he graduated after Mahomes because he had to sit out a year.
He did a year. Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of that. Now, here's what's even worse.
Don't you love sports talk with Eddie and Dave?
Here's the other thing. Yeah, Rick Corey, look out. We're coming after you. Here's the other thing that I think has turned into a mess. There's a report from the East Coast of a quarterback who says he's been offered $5 million to transfer, and it's legal because it's name, image, likeness.
Right.
Okay. I think that's the undoing of college sports.
Well, yeah. I mean, I saw that coming a long time ago. There's no more amateur sports. And then here's my problem with the whole NIL situation. Okay? My son is a 290-pound tackle. Okay. That wants to play for OU or USC. Okay. He gets a scholarship. He gets a free education. Caleb Williams is the quarterback, Heisman Trophy candidate. He's getting $10 million in an NIL deal. My son, his knees are much more in danger than Caleb's are. And he's supposed to throw himself. He's got to practice the same. He throws his body out there the same. He does everything. This guy's getting $10 million. My son gets squat, and I'm supposed to feel good about it. This is my problem with the NIL. I've always said this. I've said this for a long time. If the only way to properly do it, and now Texas Tech has done this, okay, which I think is the way it's supposed to be done for everybody, not just they did it because nobody on their team's getting $10 million. Nobody's getting $1 million. But the way they did it, they had some alumni get together and they put together, I think it's $200,000. Okay. And they put it in a pot and they split it among the whole team. Okay. So everybody on the team gets to split the $200,000. And I'm sure it's going to grow. Every year the pot, I'm sure it's going to grow, especially this year after they had a good season in the first year of the coach. So that pot may grow to $1 million, may grow to $2 million. So now you're going to get every player will end up with $50,000, $100,000, whatever. But it's equitable. It's fair and it's equitable. You don't have, because one of the reasons that a quarterback or running back may be a Heisman candidate is because he's got the All-American line blocking for him. The team has got a defensive backfield that is intercepting like crazy. All of these things. You've got these guys. Right. Everybody should be being paid. It should be fair to everybody because these are college athletes. Yeah, that was like what was said about Baker Mayfield is he had to score 60 points a game. His defense was giving up 55. Remember those Texas Tech OU games? That game, yeah. I got over 100 points. But I had to say, see, part of your argument makes sense about the linemen and that. But then you hear that same basic argument about the girls' soccer team saying we should be getting paid what the boys' soccer team's getting paid. No, that doesn't work. Or the men's, women's. But I'm saying some people are going to equate that. Well, yeah, but see, and they are now. They're doing that. USA Soccer now, that they take all the money that comes into men's soccer, into the U.S. soccer, men's soccer. They put it on a pot, and the women are now getting the same as the guys are getting. But see, here's the difference, okay? When the guys play, they have 80,000 people watching their games.
Yeah.
When the girls have 20,000 people.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
Yeah. And
Also, everybody, let me let you know this. The U.S. women's soccer team, when they're practicing, the team, what they use is under 16 boys to practice against.
Yeah.
So it's not the same.
No, it's not.
It's not the same. So,
Yeah.
so anybody that thinks they should get the same and because it's equal and fair, no, it's not the same. When the women's soccer team is putting 85,000 people in the stands, then we say, yes, now it's fair.
Yeah. But what I'm saying here is, at what point does the NCAA need to issue an apology to Reggie Bush and Cam Newton?
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree. They need to give Reggie his Heisman back.
Right. Because essentially what they took it away from those two guys for is now legal.
Yeah, his parents, and it wasn't even near. His parents were living in a beach house in, in Malibu or somewhere, That's what they took it away from him for.
Yeah.
No, I'm totally with you on it. I wanted him to nail USC to the wall for that. I get him. And now I'm saying, Reggie, I'm sorry. Because it's nothing. The guy, what's the quarterback from Alabama?
Taylor, I forget.
No.
Oh, that's the previous one.
Yeah. Whatever his name is. He's doing Pepsi commercial. Oh no, Dr. Pepper commercials.
Yes.
He's doing commercials, and he's getting paid. It's just not right. It's not right, and it's going to get worse. I mean, it's going to get worse.
So I think what we're going to see in the off season is some major talks on this, because it's turning into a free for all.
Well, yeah, but it's a train that can't be stopped. They're not going to be able to stop it. It's done. Yeah. It's done. It's there. And I predicted it like 20 years ago. Here's what happened. Did we talk about this before?
I don't think so. Not to this depth.
With Tim Gill.
Oh, yeah, Tim.
Did we talk about that?
We talked about Tim's whole deal. Yeah, in how, Bill Self did exactly what Tim did, but Tim had to apologize. Bill Self got a pay raise.
Right. In the Tulsa world and, Channel 6, 2, 6, and 8, 23, just basically raked Tim and the other kid, Rocky, over the coals for being traitors and ungrateful and everything for their scholarships at ORU and this and that. And 2 weeks later, made them recant, and then go back to ORU. And then Bill Self, 2 weeks later goes over to TU. Yeah. And then the rest is history. And those kids have never been heard from again. Praise God, they have a good life. Tim, I've seen him since, good guy, great man now, great man, got beautiful kids, beautiful children, 2 daughters. And anyway, so in the end, loves the Lord, the whole deal, good guy, and so God is good, in the end, but speaking just purely from a business sense and what makes sense, if you're going to do things right. But I wrote an article saying that in the future, this is what's going to happen. This is you can't keep treating these kids one way and coaches a different way. You've got to start treating the kids better and more fairly. You can't just make kids stay at a place. Now, I don't think, at the same time, I don't think the NIL is the way to go. I don't think that's the right. And what I don't like, I don't think it should be an individual thing. That's my big thing, that you should pay one person on a team more, because then we're not amateur sports anymore. If you're going to do the team, you say, if you want to get more money, if you got the greatest player that's ever lived, then he's going to share with the rest of the team.
Peyton Manning always took his offensive line out to dinner on Monday.
Right. Yeah. Well, now he's going to buy his offensive line a new Lexus.
Yeah.
Or a Tesla or whatever. I mean, you know what I mean? You know, if you want to pay $10 million to whoever, that $10 million is going into the school, into the athletic program, and then they can share it. Now, one thing we want to do, there's something else we want to talk about real quick. Deion Sanders. Mm-hmm. Okay, Deion, you know, was at Jackson State, a black school in Mississippi. Yeah. And he finally pulled the curtain back and left because he said the school was stealing the athletic funds. Mm-hmm. And that's why he left. Oh. Uh-huh. Now, first people were just beating him up because he was ungrateful, because he would leave this HBCU, historically black college university. Mm-hmm. I think Deion did the right thing. Don't talk bad about Deion. Deion did what he felt was right for himself, his family, whatever. Sure. And especially if the school, he called out the school. He just basically said, you guys aren't doing right. Yeah. And so now he's at the University of Colorado. Yeah. And I hope he does well. I wish Deion well. I think Deion basically is a good guy. He's human. He's a man. He has issues. There's skeletons probably in that closet. I have skeletons in mine. But, you know, you gotta forgive and move on. And, but as things go today, I think Deion made a good move.
Yeah. And Deion has never been afraid to call it out. You know, he is a sharp businessman.
I think Deion is the black version of Donald Trump.
Yeah. You know,
he says it like it is, and he doesn't care what you think.
When he first started coaching, it was a charter school in south side of Dallas, and he helped put that together. Mm-hmm. And that charter school had corruption that ended up, it was called Prime Time, Prime Time Academy. You know, but it was always known it was going to focus on sports and athletic opportunities for underprivileged kids. But the corruption did it in. And I remember he came up here. I got a chance to meet him because he was playing a homeschool team here in Tulsa. And,
probably killed him.
You know, and I talked to a lot of the boys. They're from the school, you know, and they love the opportunity. And Deion lent a lot of credibility to what they're doing, but the corruption will always, and so Deion's seen his best efforts come to nothing because of corruption in administration. So hats off to him if that's true. But by God, he better be able to prove it or they'll come after it. This university could sue him if he can't prove it.
Which you're talking about Jackson State?
Jackson State.
Yeah. Case. Oh no. Yeah. They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it because they know he's right. Yeah.
And so anyway, it's great for him. He's got two boys. One's a quarterback. I think one's either wide receiver or something, but, talented family and, hats off to Deion. I wish him the best. I think it's great.
He's pulled in professional coaches, you know, from the NFL that are now have signed up to be his assistants and stuff. Yeah. I'm interested to see what Colorado does now next year and see Deion move up the ladder.
One of the things he was most noted for, it was a 5-star high school recruit that was, I think, going to Florida State and switched to go to Jackson State. Yeah. Now, who does that? You know?
I wonder if he's moving now to Colorado.
Yeah.
You know, what you're talking about though, it's not so different, which really irks me. There's a school called, IMG Academy.
Okay.
IMG, I'm sorry, IMG. And IMG, I don't know if you're familiar with, it's a management group. It's just, they have all these pro tennis players.
Yeah.
Soccer players.
Sure.
All these people. Tiger Woods, I think, was handled by IMG. You go down there and list, and they've started their academy, and the kids live there. The kids live there and play, and they have soccer, football, basketball.
Yeah.
And to me, now that is, and when you look at the high school ratings, you know, it used to be Hoover High School in Alabama, Major D in Southern California, St. something else in Southern California. And then a couple of Catholic schools in California. There was one in, Louisiana.
Yeah.
And now it's IMG. But to me, someone needs to investigate IMG.
There's been a lot of those, the Don Bosco academies and others. Well, this guy, Alonzo Trier, he was a friend of my daughter's. He's homeschooled here in Tulsa, 15 years old, playing for the Noah Jaguars, but he's being mentored at the time by Kevin Durant because he's, a prodigy. And he announces, while he's, these classes here in Tulsa with my daughter, group classes, he announces he's going.
How old is your daughter?
This was about like 9 years ago. Okay. And there, my daughter was 16. Alonzo was 15. He announces he's, going to be moving to, Metro DC area, go to Marymount, prep school, which is where Kevin Durant went. The coaches in Oklahoma high school sport, because this guy was legendary in Oklahoma high school sport, but playing for a homeschool team. And they're chewing him out. I watched on Twitter these coaches saying, you need to stay put, stay in a program and build that program. I loved what Alonzo said. And I said, Alonzo said, I'm 15 years old. It's not my job to build a high school program. Listen, he went from Marymount to becoming starting point guard at Arizona, which is pretty impressive, and then gets drafted by the New York Nets. When you're that good, you want a program that fosters you to the highest level.
Sure, you can't blame the kid. No, I agree. The only thing, what I don't like is these, places like IMG or say this place in DC, which are really, they're not schools.
Right.
Okay.
I get that.
They're just farm clubs, basically.
I get you.
So why don't we go like Europe? Just quit the pretense. See, Europe, for example, when my kids were small, we lived in Augsburg. Okay. And they had these, in the pro, well, all the soccer clubs, and it's the same in England, France, all the main clubs, they have their youth clubs.
Okay.
And it goes A through F. F is the youth, okay, the smallest, the under fives.
Yeah.
And then you go the F, G, E, D, on up to the A. A is the oldest, which would be under 18s, and then finally you make it into the pros. The pro club. And so these kids, they'll go to school, but a lot of them don't ever, they'll finish school in the 9th grade and then they just play soccer full time or they go to work because the school system, well, we've talked about it, set up different.
Yeah, because high school is optional.
Right.
Right.
So anyway,
but think about it. If you're 15 years old and you're that good, are you really going to go to Nathan Hale?
No.
And you're going to look for who helps mentor and develop you the best.
Exactly.
If you have those options, you do it.
Right. So why in America are we playing around? Why not have, youth team for the Thunder? Thunder Youth Club out of Oklahoma City, or here, have a Thunder Youth Club here, and you can start them, and they'll start them at 5 years old, and they'll have an A team, a B team, and a C team. And then you have another one, all these little club teams, and then the best teams, they'll pull them out, and they'll make another, they'll pull the A's. Like, you have a kid that starts out, doesn't know how he'd be on the C team, and then they move up to the B, the A.
Pro Sports Farm Club starts in kindergarten, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Wow.
It starts in kindergarten.
Yeah.
And then they watch them develop as they get older.
Well, yeah, because you're treating this sport like it's a real occupation. Because for these
it is. It's a vocation. Eventually, some of the kids are going to end up being professional players. Some are not. And it usually washes out at about 10 years old.
Yeah.
When they hit 10 years old, you realize, well, Wolfgang over there, he's not going to do it. So Wolfgang, see ya. And, where Helmut, hey, he's going to move up to the under 12s. And,
okay. But Eddie, you're a college football player. You've been around athletes at these top levels in that. And I'm sure they'll all tell you who were the mentors, the role models are most influential in their, their years, their developing years. They'll say it's the coach. They're not going to say it's the math teacher. Right?
Yeah, that's true.
And so sports, because of that, can play a very powerful role in developing young people.
Yeah, but sometimes your teachers though, they can though. You can get a teacher if you get the right teacher, one that's not anti-sport.
Yeah.
A teacher that'll come and say, "Hey, I saw you play the other night. Man, you were great." They encourage you and they try to help you in different ways.
Yeah.
By here, let me help you with your studies, lighten this load and this and this.
I mean, for me, it was my marketing teacher, junior and senior year in high school, and what he taught me about business and stuff. That's
made that 3-point fadeaway for you much easier, huh?
What I learned about business, because I ended up in business.
Right.
I didn't end up in sports.
Right.
But I know the impact that a good coach can have.
Oh yeah, no,
more
I
than
agree.
just you're playing the sport, but how you approach life and how you deal with others.
You know what's so funny? Yeah, I'll tell you something. My senior year in high school and playing football, I did not like hitting people. Mm-hmm. But I had this coach, and we played my final high school game. We played this team out of Vicenza, Italy. Okay. Mm-hmm. They were, how you have, like here you have 5A and 4A. So we were like 4A and they were 5A. Okay, so they were above us. Mm-hmm. And yet the team we were supposed to play didn't want to play us because we were better. Mm-hmm. So we got to play this team above us. So they came and played us. And they had this running back who was a huge guy, and I was a safety. So I had to do a lot of tackling. And, I just didn't like tackling, but I liked intercepting passes or breaking up passes. And if somebody got out and, I would tackle them there. But running back, I did not like, let me put this, I did not like tackling big running backs, So, all of a sudden in this game, they had this big running back. And for some reason, nobody could tackle this guy. For some reason, tackling. And he always was coming at me, around the end. And I never really had learned. Our coach never taught us tackling, tactics or the skills.
Oh, yeah.
So, but for some reason, this coach was the greatest coach, and I just love this coach. It's almost like he knew we would know what to do. And so this guy's come around, and somehow I just knew, and I would just hit this kid in his knees and knock him out of bounds. And it was so I stopped him on the 3-yard line 4 times.
Yeah, nice.
And I couldn't believe I was doing it.
Yeah.
They never scored. And then finally, the last play, we were, they were right behind us, and it was kind of close. And so it was this play, and I remember blocking, and our fullback cut around me, and then we were following, and I was looking down the field, and our guys were coming, and man, they were cutting guys. I mean, guys were falling like trees. Chasing this run, and then I look, and here comes a guy after him, and I cut this guy. This guy just go flying, across what we used to call cross body blocks.
Yeah,
I just cut this guy and just took him out, and then just flipped and fell off, and our guy ran for this 80-yard touchdown. And the coach came, their coach came off later and told our coach, he says, "Man," he said, "how did you teach these guys?" He said, "I've never seen high school kids be able to block like that. Never.
Nice.
Yeah. And the
Well,
coaches,
and tackling too.
yeah. But, and, you know, he never taught us. I mean, it wasn't anything.
Right.
We never had drills or anything like that.
There's some people pick it up naturally.
Yeah. But it was like, but the guy motivated, and before the game, I still remember, he came to us and all the seniors, and he literally had tears in his eye. He was crying, saying goodbye to all of the seniors because he knew it was our last game.
Yeah.
But he was this type of guy where you would run through a wall for this guy. Mm-hmm. And there was no way we wanted to lose. And I remember the first play when they hiked and these guys came in and I saw stars.
Yeah.
And I said, oh no. Oh no.
Okay.
I really don't want to be here. I remember because these guys were fast and they would hit hard. And I did not think there's a chance on earth that we could beat these guys. But in the end, we ended up beating them.
Wow.
And I caught a touchdown and the extra points and everything. And I'm thinking in the end, how in the heck did we do this? Mm-hmm. But it was just because we were so motivated and we're so together because of the coach, you know.
Yeah.
But like I said, it wasn't because of specific skills that he taught us. It was more because of the want to that he put in us.
Well,
and I think that covers a lot more than the skill.
The more of yourself you give to something, the more it means to you. Mm-hmm. And you talked about the guys crying when it's over. And I remember my son, his senior year after the last game, I thought he was going to go out and party with his buddies. He calls me up, where'd you go? And I said, well, I figure you want to be friends. He says, I've been sitting here under the bleachers bawling for the last half hour because it's over. Yeah. How many people do that the last day of math class? You know? There's that level.
Yeah.
And it's something I remember Amy Grant saying about that because when she had the barn and a youth group needed it, and they said, well, we can't have a youth group in here unless you clean it out. And there's all this old dried up manure. And she says, funny thing, the more of yourself you commit to something, the more it means to you. She says, you couldn't keep me out of those Sunday night youth meetings because I had committed so much
shoveling all
to making it happen, right? And people are, it's just that way.
Yeah, but like I said, that coach, we would run through a wall for that guy because we knew how much, we meant to him. Right. And because of that, we would just, I remember I was dog tired because I was on the kickoff team, kickoff return, punt return, offense and defense. And I remember one time I ran out and the guy tackled me and I just laid there like I was hurt and they took me out. And so, I'm on the sideline thinking, I'm finally getting a rest. And I look over at one of the cheerleaders and I'm smiling and he saw me, Huff, get back in there. And I said, oh no, I'm busted. And I had to go back in. And usually people want to go back in. I wanted to sit there and rest.
No, I know.
Huff, get back in there. I said, oh no.
Both my boys hit their growth spurt early. And so when my son, my middle son was a football player and he was one of the biggest kids on the junior high team because his growth spurt hit great. And I remember we're playing Lincoln Christian, which is a very and he could tackle. I mean, he laid this guy out. He just with one arm, almost like a clothesline, and slammed that guy down on his back and knocked the wind out of him. And just fired up the team, you know. I mean, my son could do this. And the coach, when the series, he took him out to play. And he puts his arm around him and he says, Charlie, that was one of the best tackles I've ever seen, but don't do that again. That boy's got a mama too.
Yeah, a lot of coaches would have said, Charlie, I want you to go back and you do that again the next time. Yeah, I want to see that a couple more times. Yeah. Well, anyway, so this has been an interesting year. The election, man, reliving that, let's just wrap it up with this. It was a very disappointing election to most of us. And I think the reason is that our hopes were so high that we were going to sweep the Senate and be in House and really see some changes happen. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I'm reminded of Chronicles of Narnia. Mm-hmm. And I'll never forget the line that he's not a tame lion. Yeah. And that God's not going to do it the way we want him to do it. Yeah. So I still believe God is in control. There are two thoughts that run through my head at the same time. One is he's not going to do it the way we want to do it. The other thought is, are we truly at the end times? Mm-hmm. Because if we are at the end times, things are going to continue to devolve. It's going to keep getting bad. And this may be it. We may not recover. I know that, for example, I'm back on Twitter. I don't know if you're back on Twitter or not. Yeah. So most people are. And I can't believe the stuff I see on there. Mm-hmm. You know, all those people said they're going to get off, all the libs and all that, mm-hmm. the left wingers and that. They're still on there. They're mm-hmm. still, old habits are hard to break, but, some of the stuff I see on there, I can't believe people think like that. I cannot believe people think that.
I'm good with it. To me, the solution is always more free speech.
Oh, no, yeah. That's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
No, what I'm talking about, I can't believe that people think the way those people think. That's what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. And it just reminded me, I said, how in the world do you think this way? I have a fraternity brother, and I called him to wish him a Merry Christmas. And I saw him at our reunion. We had this black student reunion mm-hmm. at Tech. You remember, I think I told you about mm-hmm. it. And we were cordial. We were real fine. Everything was really good. And talked to him. We started out just nice, quiet, wish Merry Christmas, thank you, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And I happened to mention the refugee situation. Mm-hmm. And why did I want to do that? All of a sudden, mm-hmm. by the time it was over, in the next room there, I thought somebody was going to call the police. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know, I'm yelling, he's yelling. It was like, it was knocked down, dragged out. He starts bringing up, where's my Christian charity? Because I have no Christian charity for these poor refugees. You're not a
socialist,
these poor refugees. And I'm thinking, you're living there in this $1 million house in a suburb of Dallas. Mm-hmm. And you haven't lifted a finger, you haven't given a nickel mm-hmm. to any of this, and you're talking about what the people in El Paso are supposed to do, or in Del Rio, or any of these places. Mm-hmm. Now, you talk to me when you've got them living on your street,
sure,
and peeing in your backyard, and stealing stuff out of your deal. Mm-hmm. You know, it's easy for you to say, I'll raise my few taxes, and I won't even go any further. But it just irks me that people, you know, see, I've often come up with this saying about the difference in a conservative and a liberal. Mm-hmm. You know, conservative sees a need and says, Lord, show me what I can do to meet the need. Yeah. A liberal sees a need and asks, Lord, show me what I can get everybody else to do mm-hmm. to meet that need. Yeah. And that's the difference, that it's not about us. That's why they don't care about raising taxes, because 10% of my income, mm-hmm. you know, to the government, 20%, 50%, that's fine, because I can always, and then I'll figure out deductions and this and that, the way to reduce that portion that I have to give to actually help those. And plus, you're always looking for things to give to that you want to give to, and then use that as a deduction to keep from giving to things that are personal. Whereas, you know, you've got conservatives and most Christians that are looking for personal things that they can give to.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. And people feel good about an arm's length giving to people that they'll never see, people that they'll never touch, and things that won't touch them, as long as it keeps them away from them. The whole Martha's Vineyard situation, when Governor DeSantis flew those people up into Martha's Vineyard, do you remember? He flew them into Martha's Vineyard, and what they do, they gave him hugs and things and kissed him goodbye, and felt good about it. Just sent him to a military base, but they did not want him on their island.
Yeah.
And all the liberals said, "Oh yeah, wonderful. That's what you're supposed to do." Where they don't care. And then the people down in Del Rio and El Paso, when they're shipping them out, all of a sudden they're bad because they want to ship them out of their neighborhood.
Yep.
Oh, you poor Mexican trash. You're not supposed to get them out of your neighborhood. See, that's the attitude.
Well,
and that makes me very, very angry.
You look at Mayor Lightfoot up in Chicago. She just complained. How could Governor Abbott do that? And then she ships them out to the suburbs of Chicago.
Exactly.
And does the same thing. Have you paid your fair share of the federal budget?
Yes.
$9,000?
That's not my fair share.
What is your fair share?
My fair share is what I say it is.
Okay. The federal budget for last year, $2.7 trillion.
Right.
Divide that by roughly 300 million Americans.
330,
Okay. $9,000 is the fair share if we divide it evenly.
But I'm not doing that. I'm going to divide it. I'm going to go by the liberal mindset. I want it to be equitable. I want AOC to pay more of it than I do.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Warren should pay more than I do.
Okay.
George Soros should pay half of mine.
When the U.S. women's soccer team want their fair share, they want the same income, the same salary, the same pay as the men's team, right?
Right.
Okay. And they call that fair because it's the same per person. If we were to use that same logic, everybody owes an equal amount, an equal share, if we're going to do it. And it's 9,000.
Right.
So I'm just going to say, Elon Musk has paid his fair share.
Yeah.
Elon Musk, by the way, is my person of the year for this year. I don't know.
No, I agree. He is the person of the year.
The courage that man has shown, and he's taken a hit. Bunch of weak-kneed corporate advertisers pulled out. I don't know how many of them have come back, but Tesla is tanking right now. I think their value of a stock is about 40 cents on the dollars. Last I heard, it could be different than that. This is a guy who a couple years ago was declared the wealthiest man on the planet. $250 billion.
Is.
But what that man has done for constitutional liberties is so important. Here's the power of Twitter. Twitter could make you or break you as a journalist. That's the important thing. There's one industry that depends on Twitter, and that's the journalist industry. And they would suppress a conservative article, but they would promote a liberal one.
Right.
And so as a journalist, Twitter could destroy your career if you don't agree with their narrative. And thank God.
Tesla is still $123 a share.
Yeah, but it's down from like 300 and some.
Yeah, they did have a split, but yeah, it's down. But it did go up on Friday.
Good.
$1.88 a share. So
yeah,
keep on, Elon. Keep on. No, Elon is smart enough. I think in the end, people will wake up, and I think things are going to turn around this next month or two, and we're going to see a slow. It's like a ship. We have allowed it to be hijacked, and we're going to get it back. I think the right people are going to be in charge. I think, I don't know if you watched the movie Pearl Harbor, when the Japanese general saw after the attack, and he said, "I'm afraid we've awakened a sleeping giant."
Great quote.
I think the sleeping giant has awakened, and the old silent majority, I think people, as the man said in the movie Network, we're mad as hell and we're not going to take it anymore.
Yeah, I think there's a growing non-sectarian movement.
Right.
This is, I'm not part of the right. I'm not part of the left. I think Joe Rogan's, the Elon Musk's, I think there's a number of people that are trying
Well,
to...
there's more and more. I mean, it's growing more and more. They're starting to see comedians, a lot of comedians, journalists, a lot of journalists are finally, people that are being fired from positions, and friends of people that have been fired are saying, wait a minute, something... True liberals, true radicals who say, wait a minute, this isn't what I signed up for.
Because what we call the left now, we used to call them liberals, but that's not accurate.
No.
They are fascist.
Right.
And the other side to me are the libertarians, or the civil libertarians, the people who want liberty. You want fascism, you want liberty. I think that's where the division is.
That's right. Yeah. No, I think we're at that point, and I think those people are going to change. And we're starting to see libs of TikTok. Some of those people, that girl, have you seen her on Tucker? It's this girl, she's a lesbian. And it's funny, I have people that, conservatives, that get on my case because I have friends that may be lesbian. And I mean, I don't have close friends, but I would call them friends. And people, or associates, people that I know. But they share some of the same values. I let them know that I don't adhere to their values on that.
I won't call us in the sacrament.
Yeah, I let them know, and they know.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we can breathe the same air. Yeah. We can eat the same food. We can have discussions, and they share some of the same values. They realize, certain things are just not right. Yep. And so this libs of TikTok realize they don't want to prey on children. They're not groomers. They're not into that kind of thing. They realize, wait a minute, you got to draw a line somewhere. Even we have to draw a line somewhere. Yeah. So, and so these people are waking up and changing, the whole thing of child mutilation, removing breasts and removing penises and this kind of thing especially without parental notification and that kind of thing. It's just not right. It's just not right. It's funny because, they want to ban parents from, re-education, or what do we call it? Deprogramming. They made deprogramming illegal, but at the same time, they want to, make it legal to hide and be able to program basically kids into gay education and things like that. It's like a one-sided thing. So if you don't believe there's a devil and you don't believe there's an evil mind shaping going on in the world, just look at that. Just look at that in your educational system and everything throughout the whole country. And I would have to say Russia has a lot of problems. I'm not an advocate of us becoming communists or following the Russians, but one thing Russia does, they're not doing that. They're not going to follow
the decadent Western culture there's many parts of the world that are just not ascribing to it. It's not just Russia, but the Baltic states.
Africa.
Yeah, in Africa, exactly. By the way, breaking news on that topic of Texas Supreme Court just ruled against a father who was seeking to prevent his son from being castrated by his ex-wife.
Right.
And what a mess. What a mess. You know who the castrados were? I may have talked to you about this.
That's who castration is named after.
Yeah. Castrados were the boys from the boys' choir back in the 1800s.
Vienna Boys Choir.
Who, are all over.
Okay. Right.
They would, before they hit puberty, if they had a particularly awesome soprano voice, they'd have these boys castrated before puberty so that the rest of their lives, they're a freak, They're physically, they don't develop properly. They die young. But every Western nation banned it, made it illegal by the turn of the 1900s. We are going back to the dark days where we abuse kids like this. And we think it's somehow a right. You know, it's sad.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, it's going to come back and bite everybody in about 20 years.
Remember the days we read about when Galileo was under house arrest because his scientific studies did not meet the approval of the church? Yeah. We've gone to that place where now you're banned on social media if your narrative doesn't match up with the CDC.
Yeah, you wait probably 15, 20 years when a lot of these girls or women and realize how much they miss their breasts, or guys miss their penises and things, and all of a sudden realize what they missed in that having been done to them by their parents and these doctors and so forth. I would not want to be one of those doctors.
The suicide rate is one of the highest amongst those who are surgically transgendered. And
those news outlets, those news reporters and things that are pushing this stuff.
Yeah.
Not to mention,
I'm looking forward to another year.
Yeah.
I believe in God still on the throne. I'm a praying man, and I'm looking forward to covering it with you, Eddie.
Well, thank you, Dave.
Yeah.
And we thank you all for putting up with us, and write us at freshblackcoffee.podbean.com.
There you go.
freshblackcoffee.podbean.com. Actually, the easiest way to contact me or us is at freshblackcoffee@gmail.com.
That's right.
Freshblackcoffee@gmail. That's the actual address to communicate.
And our website is freshblack.coffee.
That's Dave's website.
Yeah, I know. I put the video up on one. Eddie started out doing this on Podbean. This is a Podbean logo we kind of stole from him.
From me, thief.
Hey, you're a subscriber. You have a right to do it. Right?
I think I do. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, hey, thank you guys so much. Prospero año, everybody. God bless, and we look forward to seeing you next year.
All right.
See if we got any music to close by off. The beautiful strings of Salvador.
Looks like stormy weather forever, and they'll never see the light of day. Paul and Silas kept on singing, believing their deliverer was on the way. For they knew with God I'm protected. For they knew with God I'm set free. For they knew with God none shall harm me. With God. Looks like stormy weather forever, and you'll never see the light of day. 3 times that day Daniel knelt and prayed, oh, not afraid of the consequences he might face. And he cried with God, I'm everything that I know says I gotta go, tired of going solo. But I'm never gonna go there again. This is what it is, this is who I am, this is where I finally take my stand. I didn't wanna fall, but I don't have to crawl. I'm not the one with two scarred hands, giving him the best of everything that's left of the life inside this man. I've been born again.
Oh, yes, David.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
It has.
I hope I remember how to do this.
Yeah, and if I don't sound right, it's the microphone's rusty.
Blame the mic.
Yeah, that's right.
Blame the mic, yeah. You know, it's kind of funny. This is not like riding a bicycle. Mm-hmm. In some ways, of course, yeah.